As we've been reporting, Australia is being asked by the US Navy to send a warship to the Red Sea in a bid to counter attacks from Houthi rebels. Joining us live now is Gordon Flake. He's the Perth USAsia Centre's CEO. Gordon, good to see you as always. Thanks for your time. The Australian government, we understand, is still considering this request. Would there be a strong expectation in Washington that as a key ally, we will agree to step up and help on this front?
Well, any expectation Washington might have will have been formed over 40, 50 years. Australia has been extremely active in supporting the United States around the globe, but particularly in that region. Given our reliance as a country on shipping and free lanes of shipping and free lanes of communication on the open seas, that's a role that we've played in the past. I can anticipate that we might play again in the future. I'm not sure what the deliberations in Canberra are, but Australia is an important partner with the United States and Europe and others in that endeavor. I would note, however, that we are small. I think we have only around 14,000 members of our Navy under uniform. And the number of ships we have is dwarfed by that of the United States and others. And so any aid that we will provide would be appreciated, but primarily a show of alliance strength.
Oh, yes, of course. And strategically, as we know, Australia has been a lot more focused on our own backyard, the Indo-Pacific, in recent years. More broadly, when we step back and look at how this changes the focus of the US, what does the Middle East conflict coming on the top of Ukraine mean for America's much-touted Asia pivot?
So herein lies the primary concern of people who focus on our region, on the Indo-Pacific. And that is that the war in Ukraine, the ongoing crisis in the Middle East, the decision of the United States, understandably, in an effort to avoid escalation in that region, to deploy naval and other resources to that region, has meant the United States is left short-staffed, both in our own backyard, but also for other missions such as piracy interdiction. And it really does raise a few red flags in terms of what would happen in this current scenario if we had an incident in the South China Seas or in the Taiwan Straits, if currently the United States is so stretched that Australia's role is needed to kind of backstop the United States in terms of anti-piracy interdiction. There is no question that resourcing is going to be a very important issue in the months and years to come.
Gordon, just looking at domestic politics in the US, my colleague Annalise Nielsen took us through today's vote on the impeachment inquiry into President Biden just a bit earlier in the bulletin. It's obviously not ideal, is it, for the Democrats in an election year?
Obviously not ideal for anybody. And broad public opinion show that the Americans don't support this initiative. So this is a bit of a political gamble by the Republicans. They made a decision in September to launch an impeachment inquiry without a vote. And they've held a number of hearings, but those hearings don't seem to have gone anywhere. And their own witnesses continue to say, look, there's a lot of things here that we don't like, but nothing that kind of raises the bar, reaches the level of being high crimes and misdemeanors warranting a formal impeachment inquiry. There was a political decision made now, given a lot of pressure from former President Trump and now candidate Donald Trump, who's seeking some retribution of his own, that they wanted this to be formalized. Also, the Republicans have said they want to be able to have greater subpoena power to make this real. So they've made a decision now to formally vote on and formally launch an impeachment inquiry, something that is far less popular than the previous efforts against former President Donald Trump will be. So like so many of the issues in this election year, you're going to have to evaluate it on its merits, but you're also going to have to evaluate it on the electoral impact of the polls. Is this an issue that works for the Republican Party? And thus far, the polling doesn't suggest that it does. But the Republican leadership seems to be far more concerned about what former President Donald Trump thinks than what their own voters think.
Gordon Flake, appreciate your insights. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.